Flash forward February 7th, 2009. Two very different sets of photographs tell a dramatic story. Here, in the evening, the couple attending a party for the Grammys. He was 19, she just 20.
I was very happy. We had a blast that night.
Several hours after that, something happened. Another photo, broadcast by TMZ. Rihanna, swollen, bruised, battered.
The picture taken that night, have you looked at it?
I get very embarrassed. I feel humiliated. I get angry all over again. Every time I see it, the whole thing plays back in my head. So I don't like to see it.
Why be ashamed? Why would you be ashamed?
I fell in love with that person. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing that that's the type of person that I fell in love with. So far in love. So unconditional that I went back. It's humiliating to see your face like that. It's humiliating to say that this happened, to accept that.
She says she and Brown were in the car on the way home from that Grammy party. He was driving, and over the next 30 minutes, here's what happened. She saw a text message on his cell phone from an old girlfriend. She got angry.
I caught him in a lie, and he wouldn't tell the truth, so I wouldn't drop it. I kept saying I couldn't take that he kept lying to me, and he couldn't take that I wouldn't drop it. Because obviously, his back was up against the wall. The truth is right here in the text message. So, it escalated into him being violent towards me. And it was ugly.
We've read the police report.
It says he shoved her against her window, punched her in the left eye.
That at one point your mouth is filled with blood?
Yes. He had no soul in his eyes. Just blank. So at that point, I just didn't know what could happen. He was clearly blacked out. There was no person when I looked at him. It's almost as though he had nothing to lose. He has so much to lose. And it was almost like he had nothing to lose. It wasn't the same person that says, I love you. It was not those, it definitely weren't those eyes.
She says in his rage, he kept driving into an LA residential section. As she desperately tried to phone her assistant, he threw the phone out the window.
Police report also says he had you in a headlock, not once but twice, and actually bit you a couple of times. Once on the left side of your ear and also then bit your fingers. He bit you?
Yep. Even if I hit him first, that makes it okay for him to do that to me. They kind of give an excuse for what he did.
Did you hit him? Did you ever say to yourself, well, that was my fault?
No. Did not hit him. It was an argument.
A verbal argument?
Verbal.
Was there alcohol involved? Was he
No.
drunk? Were you drunk? Was
No.
it no.
We weren't drunk. Weren't even drunk.
How did you think it was going to end?
That's all I kept thinking the whole time. When is it going to stop? When is it going to stop? When people can hear me screaming, when he's parked in a neighborhood and we're right in front of somebody's house. He kept saying, stop screaming, of course, but I kept screaming. And eventually they didn't come out. They just called the cops from inside. I was battered. I was bleeding. I was swollen in my face.
Distinctions that might echo back to the ways you cope when you're a child in a troubled home. Something else she had never planned on letting the world know. what she says her father did to her mother.
Was it abusive?
Yes.
Physically?
Yes.
Severely?
Yes.
Did he hit her?
Yeah. On numerous accounts. It was like, I don't want to say normal, but it wasn't a surprise when it happened. Like, I just always anticipated it happening, and that's why at night I wouldn't want to sleep because I was too afraid that it would happen. I just would pull her away. I would be beating on my dad's leg the whole time, just trying to stand in the middle, breaking glass bottles so they could hear something else and snap out of it.
Was she taken to the hospital, to the doctors, that severe?
No, she never went to the hospital, but he broke her nose one time. But she would never go to the hospital. Domestic violence is not something that people want anybody to know, so she just would hide it in the house. I always said to myself, I'm never gonna date somebody like my dad. Point blank, denial is you start lying to yourself. The minute the physical wounds go away, you want this thing to go away. This is a memory you don't want to have ever again. So the minute the physical wounds go away, you put it in the back of your head and you start lying to yourself subconsciously.
Lying, saying it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Lying, saying he's changed. What lies?
Initially, you start thinking, what could I possibly have said to make him hit me and do this? Like, you replay that in your head, and then, eventually you're like, stop. I didn't talk about it to anyone, to no one. Not my friends, not my family. I didn't want people looking at me and feeling sorry for me, like there goes the victim. So I felt really lonely. There were times when I cried. There were times when I just sat there all day and watched TV. I couldn't even go back to my own house because there were 200 people outside with cameras, paparazzi, journalists, fans, neighbors. There were helicopters circling. So I feel like I went to sleep as Rihanna and woke up as Britney Spears or something, just to give you the level of chaos. And I'm like, if I feel this depressed, then what is he going through? Again, lying to yourself. I had to protect him. The whole world hates him now. His fans, his career. He lost me. I just need to let him know, don't do anything stupid.
You mean like hurt himself?
Yes.
You thought he might actually try to kill himself?
Everything was going through my head because I know he's never had to deal with something like this. I'm not saying that's an excuse for me to go back, but this is what I was thinking about.
But go back to him is exactly what she did. March 1st, just 3 weeks after the incident, she flew to be with Chris Brown in Miami. Her fans were thrown.
I think taking him back would be like saying it was okay to do that, and we all know that it's not okay.
I don't want you women out there to think that this is okay, because it is not. It is not okay. A man puts his hands on you, peace out, sucker.
They could try to make this relationship work if they chose to.
And there were also messages from some fans, some young girls, who said they were being hit and hurt too. Down in Miami, Chris Brown seemed to be so relieved she was back with him, even exuberant to have everything the way it was.
And did you think that was it? You were going to be back together again?
I actually didn't know. I actually did not know. I went through a host of emotions.
Did you tell him you forgave him?
No. It was confusing for me. I was still attached by love, but I wasn't thinking about the reality of the situation. I felt like I built this empire, and the man that I love beat me, and because I'm going back, I'm gonna lose it? No. And even then, you see, you start lying to yourself again, and I just felt, nah, that's selfish. I can't think like that. That's selfish. What if I am supposed to help him? But when I realized that my selfish decision for love could result into some young girl getting killed, I could not be easy with that part. I couldn't be held responsible for telling them, go back. Chris, even if Chris never hit me again, who's to say that their boyfriend won't? Who's to say that they won't kill these girls? And these are young girls, and I just didn't realize how much of an impact I had on these girls' lives until that happened. It was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call for me, big time.
How did you end it? When did you end it?
Shortly after Miami, I went right back to LA. I just said to him, I can't do this. I resented him. I resented him so much. And I always put the tough face on and try to, I can do anything face, and just try to play it off. But he knew. He knew it. He kept asking me, you hate me, don't you? You hate me. And I would lie and I would say no. No. And I did. It annoyed, everything about him annoyed me. Him being around me, him talking to me, everything was annoying for me. So finally, I just said, we can't do this.
And that was the last time you've spoken to him?
I spoke to him after that, but we weren't in a relationship. You know, he didn't accept that very well. Obviously he didn't want us to be apart. But I know how to make a decision for me.
He launched a series of public appeals saying he had written her a song, an apology called Changed Man.
I remember your touch, God, I miss you so much. Please believe me, baby, I'm sorry.
When you heard it, what did you think?
I didn't hear it.
Didn't want to hear it?
No.
I wish I could have changed that night.
He also went on Larry King with his mother and explained that as a little boy he had heard his stepfather hit his mom, though his stepfather denies it.
It used to be times I used to be scared to go to bed because I'd be like, well, I don't know.
He forgot the pain that he witnessed with his mom. Fame came to Chris very, very young, at a very young age. So with fame comes a lot of things, and the most dangerous thing is the freedom. No limits, no boundaries. You're a kid and the word no doesn't exist. You become invincible. I am strong. This happened to me. I didn't cause this. I didn't do it. This happened to me, and it can happen to anybody. And I'm glad it happened to me, because now I can help young girls when they go through it. I'll say that to any young girl who's going through domestic violence. Don't react off of love. F love. To come out of the situation and look at it third person and for what it really is, and then make your decision, because love is so blind. It's so blind.